Oh boy, it's time to talk about cards that you might want to have. Don't beg 30% of you that have not smashed the ever-living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. Number one on our list here is the Performapal 5 Rainbow Magician. And you're probably looking at this card and you're like, wait a minute, why has a universal big scale that has such a downside effect actually matter? Well, you cannot pendulum summon except from the extra deck. This effect cannot be negated, and each player applies one of these effects based on the number of set cards in their spell and trap card zone. So 0, alright, so if they have no set cards, all monsters they control cannot attack or activate their effects. If they have 4 or more, the attack of all monsters they control become double the original attack. Well, that's pretty interesting. And then we also have, if either player sets a spell and trap card zone on your field, alright, while this card is in your graveyard, except during damage step, you can place this card in your pendulum zone. So let me get this straight. Why in the world do we care about this? Well, hi Super Heavy Samurai, how are you? You know, Super Heavy Samurai builds play no back row. None. Most of them are designed to not be able to support this. So what in the world makes this card so good? You know that first effect? All monsters they control cannot activate their effects or attack while they have 0 spells and traps. Well, if a deck cannot activate any spells and traps, this is an auto floodgate against them, and then they just can't play the game. Congratulations, you have found the auto win condition win button that just is able to win you the game against Super Heavy Samurai. Is it good? Is it bad? It's to be seen, but I think that it's hilarious that a card like this actually can exist in the standard metagame. That's Yu-Gi-Oh! For you. Next up is Rescue Ace, and you know, what's most amazing to me about this entire deck is everybody tossed in the trash can, everybody read, Turbulence, and they're like, wow, you can set up to 4 Rescue Ace quick place normal traps and spells and all that fun stuff directly from your deck. Okay, well that's fine, sure. And then that was it. They got their second wave of support, which was 1 card, and everybody was like, get rid of the deck. It's garbage, it's bulk. Well, for the first weekend of this deck's existence, with its second wave of support in the OCG, it won 7-0. It got 6-1 in another tournament, showed up top 4 and another, and then it had a couple of other decent showings throughout the course of the weekend. And then you kind of look around here and you're like, wait a minute. For an archetype that has been just absolutely dumped on, when a deck gets handed a quick play spell card that just allows them to splash summon any of their monsters from the deck, and then you have to tribute another one, okay, well then how do we get here? Well, it's all because of the you can set 4 directly from your deck. We have finally reached the point now that we can actually get super easy access to the best cards in the deck. And because of that, the deck now has turned into having a chance to be able to play the game. And I think a lot of people are still going to be kind of dumbfounded that this deck has definitely revolutionized itself as a rogue strategy at this point in time. But I think it's definitely interesting just to see that, Rescue Ace got enough minimal support to actually kind of reboot itself into a deck that you need to know how to play against. And that is actually really cool. So we've reached playable status. That is actually incredibly good. Now there is the other big deck in the room here, and it's Altergeist. Oh boy. I did not think that Altergeist getting 4 new cards, 4 by the way, would put this deck back in the spotlight. And I've already heard numerous complaints from players as they're just like, Robbie, it's not going to be good. And I'm like, a level 3 tuner that can make Herald in the deck with a Melazeek is pretty good. I don't care what you really think. Typically option trees like that add a lot to the deck. And it looks like I was correct on that assumption. Now, What actually has gotten played has been the new level 3 tuner monster. Most builds I've seen have played 1 to 2 of that. Hasn't been a 3 of. The attack directly and draw a card, the red support, has not had any sort of big boost. But the Link 4 actually has gotten a lot of play. The ability to set a trap directly from your deck is actually pretty good. I don't think a lot of players really assumed like having a better Link 4 would actually make the deck better, but it actually has. So kind of looking forward here to, August. You have a lot of good budget cards floating around here. I mean, you've seen Pukuri up here the entire time, because Pukuri is the thing that actually has made this deck kind of interesting, because they get the ability to turbo out Hextia with this, and then it adds a little bit of extra flavor, power, turbo 9000 to the deck. I think a lot of people kind of going forward here are probably going to sleep on Altergeist, but that's fine. I don't expect anything crazy, but budget options for the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! That you can play in a good couple of months, I'll take that. Those are really the things that make me super excited when you can see this far out. And then, of course, we have the power of Unchained. Oh, boy. So, I am not an Unchained expert. I don't know, honestly, the first real thing about this, but when I did see the new cards for this deck, I was actually really excited, because it adds a lot of additional support and love to the deck that you normally might not consider really playing, because adding a new Link 2 into the deck really changed things, especially when you made it generic. On Splash Summon, you could add an Unchained monster from your deck to your hand or graveyard, so you get to toggle for anything with the new support. And then if a card or card you control is destroyed by battle card effect while it's in your graveyard, you can banish it to Splash Summon a Fiend from your hand or graveyard and then destroy a card you control. So that means I can summon out one and then I can pop it. The new Link 2 facilitates everything that you wanted for Unchained. Now, as you kind of look back at the rest of Unchained support, though, you kind of got to ask yourself, well, what do I need to really worry about here? What are like the big things? Honestly, just generic support. I will also say that because the new support is Fiend support, there was a build that I saw that did show up, and I kid you not, that was actually playing Labyrinth cards in Unchained. Yeah, that's that's an interesting little scenario where you can combine all this support and then pull Unchained monster from your deck. I didn't actually think that'd be something that I'd be seeing anytime soon, but you know what? It looks like it has worked out. And I think that when you start kind of crossing lines like that here, and you can have those different decks kind of come together in terms of support, that is kind of cool at the end of the day. So kind of keep that in mind here. And then, of course, the last one is going to be Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. Now, I continue to say this in all of these videos because the OCG has loved Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. The amount of times that I have seen Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries show up as a power card to detour certain matchups, it allows decks that aren't really all that good the chance to kind of play the game. For example, I mean, if you play against Turbo Synchro 9000 and you're very scared, you can Ghost Reaper the Junk Speeder. Now that player is going to have to go, well, what do I do at this stage? Ghost Reaper's turned into one of the potentially most powerful floodgate monsters to actually kind of exist out here. And I think a lot of players are going to kind of continue to dodge this because it might not have the same level of impact here. But for the sake of the more degenerate formats begin to develop, Ghost Reaper will be one of those cards that will be there to kind of specifically shut out specific boss monsters that will be overpowered. I think when you have a card that can aim to clean up specific actions, that's gonna be something to really consider overall, especially when, nice looking versions of the card are particularly cheap. I'll stand by it as one of the cards just to make sure that you have. So what do you think about this list of good stuff? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Peace out. Patrons! Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.